some of those people realize the cheerleading aspect of it.
Oh, I know.
Usually and it's kind of like almost like softball. They always talk about Little League. They never say Little League softball, T-ball. It's always,
Yeah.
it kind of gets dropped off. And like football, it's always the football, not football, cheerleading.
Yep.
But it was funny because the one year we did have, I think, more cheerleaders than we had
Oh,
football
yeah.
players.
I remember that year. Yeah. There were more cheerleaders than there were football players.
Every football player had their own individual cheerleader.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we've had that at a couple of JV football.
I was going to say, that's been the case. That's been the case at some JV football game.
You got more cheerleaders
Who's
than
the
football players. Wow.
For the biddy
Yeah.
football. Yeah. They had like 200. What they had, like 200?
There was
they had
about 100 cheerleaders and
some
about
cheerleaders
100
and
football players that
Yeah.
year. I remember.
Wow.
That may have been Audra's 8th grade or
Yeah.
7th grade year.
Because then they all came out on the track that year for the kids that
Yeah,
go
or
to camp.
6th grade year, I think
So-
maybe it was Audra's. Yeah, yeah. When they do the
One year when the kids was in school, they had more of those flag carriers wanting to be that than they had in the band. I remember.
Yeah, I remember that. The flag was like had a whole bunch of flags and everything.
Well,
He just pulled
And
in.
then right
he's
now-
coming.
Let's do it.
That's it.
Yeah, it's better.
Meeting's adjourned.
Sorry.
Mary, get your stuff out of the box.
Um,
I should have got that for you, but it'd have saved you a minute or two.
I thought it was neat. I took a few minutes to go around and take a look at some of the pictures and stuff too that were up. That was neat. I said that evening was well done. Saturday was a dinner that the Heath Sertoma had to celebrate the 50th anniversary of that chapter of forming. It was over at the Davis Shea House. They did a really good job.
You probably got an invitation, but it was held when you were gone for a month.
You know, I do see it. Get that number.
No, I got one.
Says he's gonna
All
let
right.
you go first.
Yep, we'll start here at 5:32,
Okay.
Captain Cos. you're
I'll
up.
do that.
I thought-
Do you want all
I thought
this?
it's retired. Yeah, just go on.
Go down through it?
Yeah,
Okay.
You got a handle on your phone too, right, Cos?
Yeah. No, I don't have the volume like the former chief.
Yeah, that's
That
what we were
interrupted.
talking
That was
about.
our-
And
I
the,
had
ring,
to
and the
something I was
ringtone too. 85 alarms going on.
Okay, March statistics. 47 fire runs this year so far, as of the end of March. 38 last year. 167 to 132, so we're up on fire runs. EMS 174 and 198 last year, so we're down a few on EMS runs. 665 and 645 for totals.
Captain, do you know do you happen to know the increase this year, year to date, the increase this year in fire runs? Is that because we are providing more mutual aid on fire runs? Or are we having more fire run incidents within the city?
It's actually been both. We've actually been up considerably even ourselves.
Okay.
We had, the one shift I worked, we had 3 working fires. We had the one on, we had a fire on, one of them was with Hebron. It didn't amount to anything. We came back, had, or one working fire, 2 auto accidents, because we watched an auto accident out here on 79.
You watched it
In
happen?
James, we watched it.
Okay.
We watched a car hit another car, and it went right over the embankment and disappeared. And the guy driving the tower was like, "Oh my gosh, did you see that?" I said, "Yep." So we stopped, and
Yeah.
it wasn't bad. But then right after that, we had the vehicle that went into the front doors of H.H. Gregg in the doorway.
Yeah.
And we just got back from that, and the medic just got in service, and the house on Barb burnt
Oh.
that
okay,
day.
Okay.
And then in the middle of the night, we went with Newark on another house. So that one shift, we had 3 working fires, because we were with Hebron where they set all the insulation in the warehouse on fire again for like the, I don't know, how many times we've been there.
Okay.
So we had 3 working fires and 2 accidents that particular day. So
Okay.
we're up ourselves.
Okay,
And Newark was up for a while, but it's leveling off again,
okay,
so.
all right.
Transports, so far, 94 and 116 as of last year at that time. So year-to-date totals 281 and 303. Mutual aid given to Newark, 12 fire calls, 11 EMS calls, for a total of 23. 5 to Hebron, and those 5 calls, probably 4 of those were in that month because we went twice to the Owens Corning warehouse where they caught the insulation on fire. And the second time, the guy was changing a light bulb above the insulation, didn't put anything down, and he dropped it. So it was hot, it popped, he took it out, he dropped it, and then he let it go. He just went out of the warehouse, and then the insulation started, and he walks outside and he goes, hey, he's telling the other guys, well, you guys might want to leave because the warehouse is on fire. Insulation,
Wow.
after he did that. So
Is insulation typically not fire resistant?
it's, all this is wrapped in plastic.
Okay.
This is all bundled, so it's either the loose bat that's all bundled up real tight, or they also have you seen the insulation sheeting that you can put up in place of
Yeah.
insulation? You can put it in your walls
Yeah.
ahead of drywall.
Yeah.
That there's sheets and sheets, and this warehouse is, oh my gosh, I don't know. It almost looks like it's an acre under roof. That's how big this, and
Okay.
it's completely packed full.
Mm.
Well, this is stacked up to the ceiling, which is about 16 foot high, and he was clear up in the top in a lift and dropped this bulb in the top of this. So when he did, it burnt down through the center, and then you had a fire in the center of all this insulation. Well, they had to go up it and over top of it to even
Oh,
get
to
it
get
out.
down at it.
And then the whole thing had to be unloaded, that whole area. Probably a 30 by 40 area had to be unloaded and put out in the parking lot, so, yeah. I think he's still working there, I don't know. I'm not sure he should be.
I'm hoping not.
Buckeye Lake, no EMS calls, 1 fire run, and 4 fire calls to Licking Township Fire Company. No EMS calls. Granville, 1 fire run, 1 EMS call. So 23 fire mutual aid given, 12 EMS for a total of 35. Okay, mutual aid received. So this is the time Newark comes into here. 10 fire runs, 9 EMS calls for a total of 19. Hebron was in 6 times and was in 7 times on EMS calls. Some of those are where we'll get an auto accident or we need an extra medic or whatever, because on an auto accident, we'll take our rescue and 1 medic from Station 2, and then we'll leave the other medics in unless we have some volunteers in, and then any other medics coming will be mutual aid, whether it's Newark, Hebron, based on where it is.
So instead of rolling both of our medics on 1 auto accident call, we'll leave 1 medic in station?
The reason we do that is there's only 3 people.
Uh-huh,
So instead of putting 1 on there and 2 on the rescue,
yes.
we leave the medic set, bring our medic, and then we automatically get 1 more medic.
3 would be on
unless
the
we need
rescue
it.
and 1 medic would be coming from
Now, if
station.
there's 4, if I've got a volunteer there that I can utilize, we'll put 2 on the medic, 1 paid staff and a volunteer, and 2 of us on the rescue. We'll run both and the other medic, and maybe we'll need a mutual aid, maybe we won't. It just depends on number of patients,
Gotcha.
how serious.
Okay.
2 fire calls to to Granville, no EMS calls. So 19 total fire calls where we received mutual aid, 21 EMS calls, for a total of 40. So we gave it 35 times, but we received it 40 times.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. It's pretty even. And I will say, as a plug to Chief McCord, he's not here, it's been a real pleasure working with him, and the relationships with our department and the other departments has improved greatly.
Good.
I mean, they're coming in here and not being afraid to be told, stay in your car, or no, we don't need you. They're coming in and we're utilizing them, and when we go down there, they're utilizing us.
Good.
So it's working out real well.
Good. When these 5 fire runs that we've given, that we gave to Hebron, when we go down to Hebron, is it pretty much always with the tower?
Most of the time, only because the way their run cards are set up, they've got so much commercial out there, and they've got a lot of apartment buildings, and they have no ladder at all.
Yeah,
So the majority of the time, it's not an engine. The advantage of that is you've not only got the aerial device, it's got water on it, and it's got a pump on it both.
Okay.
You call for Granville's is a ladder. There's no pump, there's no water, which means you have to have a support truck
Yeah.
go with that.
Yeah.
With us, our ladder can literally be standalone. Now, that being said, we only have 300 gallons, so if you charge the waterway, the 300 gallons is gone.
Yeah.
However, the idea is have another truck there and get a water supply. And then we've got as many extrication tools and truck tools, as they call them, ladder's called a truck, as we do a rescue or an engine. So, yeah, it's like a rolling toolbox, plus it's got
With the
elevation
tower
and water and
capability.
everything. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why we go there. We've been there a couple times with engines, but it's even on there, if you look at their run cards, which I was surprised, we went to, which we obviously respond to the school, any of their apartment buildings, but we went to a residential house. And it was just a big house, and I asked Chief Stickrat, and he said, I have the tower on there because if we need a master stream and we need elevation, we're gonna have it. But this roadway, we had to pull in and literally back out. You couldn't even turn it around. That's how tight the road was
Oh.
to even get in there. And some of those roads are like that there. Well, if they need elevated streams, they're out of luck.
Their development codes don't require the kind of turn radius that ours do. Then,
Yeah.
Right. Because-
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, there's some roads that even if they park, and thank God they don't park on both sides, but if they park on one side, you have enough room to get the tower down the other side. And if you get it down there backing it out, you're about that close to the
Yeah.
vehicles as you back it up.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay. Hi, Clayton.
okay, monthly expense report. March wages, 2015, 62,726. March overtime, last year, 18,308. And totals for last year in March, 52,537.43. This year, 67,092.80 in wages. Overtime, 11,659.60 for a total of 51,117.91.
You still overtime.
Well, yeah, there has been some reduced, but unfortunately, I had one of the guys tell me tonight, he just got a report, he's got a tore meniscus in his knee. So,
Seriously?
Yeah,
Oh.
Dave Love.
Oh.
So,
On duty or off duty?
I don't know, I don't know if it was on duty or not, I can't answer that. I just know he was having issues, it was swelling, they thought they were gonna cortisone it, put a shot in, he'd be okay, and he got the MRI report, and there's a tear there. He's gonna have to have fixed.
For a meniscus, what do you do with a tear? Can you sew it back together?
They surgery, yeah.
Is that right?
Because I had a patellar tendon tear,
Uh-huh.
and once they took that bursa sac out, they sew it and reinforce it and put it back in, and
Okay.
it's been fine, so yeah.
Okay.
Any type of soft spot or even a tear, they can literally, they'll go in and sew it back.
Okay.
But then that means you're out of commission for 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. And Brownie's having a baby, right?
Yes, he will be going on maternity leave.
It's his first, right?
Yeah, it is.
Tell him congratulations.
Yeah, he's
Haven't seen him in a
excited.
while.
Well, he's excited, but I said, how you feeling? And he goes, I'm scared to death. You know, and you got to know Doug Brown because he's like 6'2".
Yeah, he's a
300
big old
pounds. So
bear-looking
it's like,
guy, you know.
yeah, you're scared, really?
Yeah. That'll be a great picture. Do they know if they're having a boy or a girl?
They are having a boy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That'd be a great picture of him holding the baby.
Yeah.
Maybe more data.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doug's a good guy.
Yep, he is. Okay, monthly revenue. Total trips 94. Year-to-date 281. EMS runs. Gross charges 77,450. Year-to-date 216. I'm assuming that's what we pull in off EMS billing?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Uh,
The charges.
Okay.
Not what we've, not necessarily
Not
what
what
we've
we
collected
get,
yet.
but
Yes.
charges.
Yeah, what we've charged.
Contractual allowances 31,763. Year-to-date 84,963. Net charges 45,866.
So the contractual allowances would be things like with certain insurance companies, I don't know, maybe if that includes Medicare or Medicaid, but it's those kind of contractual discounts,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, okay. Net charges for year-to-date 127,428. Balance due 42,404. And year-to-date 123,129. Now, is that,
That's not unusual to have.
is the balance due what we owe MedBen?
No.
Or
what
that's
they owe us.
what's owed us,
That's
what's not
correct.
come in yet?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. So it lags a while, so that's not unusual. to
Do we
see.
ever get it all?
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
just takes a while.
I mean,
to-
one way or another. The only time not is if they have filed the paperwork for some sort of a financial hardship consideration, and then those come to me. But gosh, I don't think I've looked at one of those in months. Yeah. So. No.
I like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, any questions on that? We'll move to equipment. New rescue is in Station 51. If anybody would like to see it, it is very pretty. And there's a lot of room in it. We are waiting right now to, got a call into Fire Marine. This company installs equipment and fire apparatus. They also build boats, by the way, pontoon boats or whatever kind of boat you want, but these guys are just, they're phenomenal. I've never seen welding by hand that's as good as a machine, if not better. I mean, these guys are just unbelievable. And we've got an appointment there May 2 to get that in. The reason being is they optimize the space. So when that stuff's put in, it's not only mounted in holders for the tools and all that, we've used that compartment to the max. So we're not just, because we're gonna eliminate some things off the old one and things are gonna switch around, but Pierce has been in. They were in last week, 3 days. A representative from Pierce, and we went over the new truck, the foam system, the pump, everything, because this has diesel exhaust fluid on it. So it's the first engine we have it's called DEF, and it burns it with the diesel fuel. You get 4.5 gallon tank on there, and approximately you get 5 gallons. You put 5 tankfuls of diesel to every gallon of DEF. So doesn't use very much of it.
5 tankfuls?
5 tankfuls of diesel
Okay.
to about 1 gallon of DEF. That's all it burns. So not a whole lot. And it's got a gauge in the dash that
Is that
shows
an
us.
environmental thing?
Yes, that's to reduce the emissions.
Yeah.
So instead of, like in our old Medic, where you didn't have the fluid, you had it still has a diesel particulate filter that burns all the soot out of it, but they use this DEF fluid in conjunction with that. They inject it into the exhaust, and the heat from the exhaust and it being injected ignites it, and it burns all the soot off this diesel particulate filter.
Okay.
It looks like a muffler. It's not. It's, what did he tell us? $3,500 for this. So it's not a muffler, obviously. And as long as you keep fluid in it, it's
Yeah.
fine, and it'll do what it needs to, and it's called a regeneration cycle, and there's times you regen, there's times you don't, to burn all that out. Because all diesels produce soot. It traps it in that diesel particulate filter, and you have to have a way to get it out. So when they inject the DEF in it, it burns it. When it burns all that out of it, you get ash in the bottom. The ash you don't worry about goes out the tailpipe, it's harmless. So that's what they do that for. Federal emissions, federal regulations. Everything after 2010 had to have that.
How long before you gotta replace something like that?
The filter, in reality, they say you should never have to.
in terms of Keith equipment. In our lot.
Well, and I will say this, you're right, Medic 51's been a real pain in the butt. That truck, 1 year later, would have had DEF on it, we wouldn't have had these issues at all, period, because all those systems completely changed. That was International's way of doing the same thing, but in that it still has the same filter on it, but they actually inject diesel fuel into it instead of DEF fluid, which is different. And it does burn the soot off, but it plugs the filter up, and then, you know, it's a big mess. And with that truck, it's been a lot of messes.
DEF stands for what again?
Diesel exhaust fluid. So it's a little different. It's a different mixture. It will freeze, but if you get it in somewhere warm, it thaws back out again. And you just dump it in. There's where the fill is for the diesel tank, right above it, there's a flap. You open it, and there's a blue cap on it, and it says DEF only. Now there was a fire department they told us about that actually fit a diesel nozzle in there and filled the DEF tank with diesel, and it went back to the engine manufacturer, and $40,000 later they got their truck back.
Wow.
So you can't put diesel fuel in the DEF tank. Will the nozzle fit? Yeah, unfortunately it will.
Everybody's been trained on this.
Yes,
correct?
everybody's been trained on this. And if I catch anybody, I'll just go ahead and kill them before you guys find out. Because,
Why would you change this?
no, it's a plastic tube, it's a plastic cap and a plastic tube. And you could, in theory, stick a diesel nozzle in it, even though it's a lot bigger and unleaded, it'll fit. So we have reiterated this over and over again. Please do not put any diesel in there.
Jeff, it's urea prill is what it is in deionized water. That's all it is. You were asking what it was. 33% urea prill,
Yeah.
deionized water, that's all it is.
Yeah, that's all this is. That's
Same
all
thing
it
farmers
is.
put on their foods.
But it works really, really well when you heat it and then inject it in that system. Because the exhaust, when it's regenerating, is 15 to 1800 degrees. So we also don't put anything by that exhaust pipe or it's gonna melt.
How long of a warranty do we get on that truck? We get an extended warranty on the truck at all?
The basic warranty, the engine is 5 years, the transmission is 5 years, the truck itself is 5 years, the frame is lifetime. They will lifetime the frame, because they've had some issues with that.
5
The-
years or so many miles, or is it just 5 years?
No, it's just 5 years. I think it's regardless of mileage. The computer stuff, they give you 2 years
Imagine that.
on a basic warranty. But what they're talking about is Pierce's computer that controls Pierce stuff. Now, Allison's computer will be a lot longer than that, because it'll go even beyond the 5 years, because it has to do with emissions. And the Detroit diesel, that will be longer than 5 years too, because that's an emission warranty for their engine. So it'll go 10 years or longer than that for just the emissions on the engine.
As our mechanic and general maintenance guy on our fire vehicles, do you feel comfortable with the new rescue truck being able to work on it if and when?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's not much difference in it other than that system. I mean, the rest of it is like any other
Okay.
diesel truck we have, other than the DEF being added, but that's in everything. I mean, if we end up getting pneumatics, they'll have that too. Because that is a requirement from the federal government after 2010. At that point, everything had to have it, everything over the road. The Medic 52 just had a fuel sensor replaced. It had failed.
Oh, just so you guys know, Station 1 is Station 51.
Mhm.
Station 2, Station 52. So, like the medic at Station 1 is now Medic 51.
51, Rescue
Yeah.
51, Tower 51.
Yeah.
And Engine
And that's
51.
tied to, what, the county 911
Mhm.
system? how
We
they-
were required to go to 3 digits. Huggy would not go to 3 digits. Everybody else went to 3 digits. Newark is still Medic 1, Medic 2, Medic 3, but they're 001. So they're technically, they're 3 digits, but in the CAD, they're 3 digits for the CAD, but it's still Medic 1, Medic 2. So we got together and around, I guess, before he left, we decided this is what we're gonna do. So we went to 51. partly because that's when the City of Heath Fire Department was established. It was 1951. So that's why we did that, and everybody pretty much was in agreement with it. So in the cab, it's 051, 052, and that gave us the 3 digits. And all that did was satisfy the cab requirements, because they can't do, when you put a truck in, you can't do less than 3 digits, or it won't come up and then you can't dispatch it. So really it all has to do with the computer assisted dispatching. That's what
How'd
that's
we do
for.
it before with the old number system?
That's when the dispatch center had a different CAD.
Yeah, this new CAD, they had to have 3 digits. That, what they did was they stuck in 2 zeros. But we were using the old numbers from the County Rescue 6 and Truck 10 and all that stuff. We were using that from years and years ago. Everybody had went to 3 digits.
Except us.
We're
The
the
whole
last
entire
man
county.
standing, huh?
We were the last ones.
Yeah.
Because he was bound and determined he wasn't going to. So we changed it kind of around him, and when the truck got to Pierce, we had him letter it Rescue 51, and by the time the truck got here, he was already retired. So it didn't make any difference. So anyway, and then that applies to us too. Chief 51, I'm Captain 51. So it applies to the unit days. Earl's Captain 52, and there is not a Captain 50, or Earl's Captain 53. There's not a 52 yet. Till the promotion
2
takes
and 3,
place.
51,
Yeah.
52.
Yeah. Same way with the lieutenants, and then all the trucks at Station 51 are 51, and vice versa at the other one. Back to Medic 52, it had a fuel sensor that failed. Earl was working, said that it just completely shut off, and thank goodness it shut off behind the station. So Jace towed it, they found it, got the piece and put it in. As of today, I'll just tell you this now, because I got a call. Medic 52 was on a run, they got to the hospital, and when they marked out at the hospital, they marked out of service. When they do that, a couple of things could have happened. The truck could have quit, somebody could have made a big mess in the back of it and needed to be cleaned up, but there was a reason it was out of service. The phone rang, and it was firefighter Brown, and he said, on the way there, I was trying to avoid a pothole for patient comfort going down West Main Street. And if you've ever been down there, there are telephone poles that are literally really, really, really close to the road. Anyways, he hit the right passenger mirror, which brought the mirror towards the door, put a little dent in the door, and it broke the mirror out of it. Didn't break the housing, it broke the mirror out of
Broke
it.
the glass
Out of the housing. So I immediately notified Chief McCord. Brown went to company care and did the drug test, and we swapped the medics out. I'm in the process of, it'll be tomorrow now, but calling International and getting a couple of mirrors. The dents in the door, it's a couple small ones. In the top, it didn't break the glass in the door. It still works. It basically just broke the mirrors out.
Don't
So-
worry about the dents.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not gonna make a difference one way or another.
Yeah.
So just so you're aware, Chief McCord was, and that's been handled, so. We did hose testing in the month of, well, some of it started in March, most of it ended by April. New NFPA rules say that any hose manufactured before July of 1987 has to be taken out of service, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. So we had approximately 24 sections, which are 50 foot long, of 3-inch that was dated 1984. So the reason that being is 3-inch can be used for supply line, but we've got a couple of nozzles called Blitz fires that will flow 500 gallons a minute. It can also be used as a tack line. So we may grab that line off the back of a truck and go and actually monitor that on the ground, or we've got some straight bores, we would actually take that line into a big fire and try to hit it really, really quick and knock it down. So NFPA says, because that can be used both ways, if it fails the test or it's that old, then it's to be taken out of service.
Yeah, we didn't even, as Chief McCord explained to me, we didn't even bother testing
No.
those ones past
No.
that date.
No, because it can't stay in service.
Yeah.
So we didn't test it, and then we had 3 other sections that, if you pressurize those, they go to 200 PSI by a hose tester pressure. Once we do that, if they start leaking through the jacket, then that hose is no good. And we had 3 sections that went out of service there.
I'm convinced
So-
that this committee at NFPA that established this guideline consisted of 2 people. Somebody from the Beverly Hills Fire Department, where money is no object, and from some fire hose company. That's what I'm thinking. But as frustrating as it is, and we'll probably give some of that hose, well, no, 3-inch hose, I don't think the water department can use.
They already took it.
Oh, did they already?
They took a lot of it.
Okay,
Yeah, we
good.
put it out by the dumpster.
Good.
And we called them and said, hey, for filling pools, that's ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took
Okay,
lots of
okay,
that.
good. Well, then,
But I will
if
say
it
this.
blows
Mayor,
a leak, then, okay, then we'll have to.
It's only hydrant pressure.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not gonna hurt anything.
But as
I-
frustrating as it is to think that we may have just taken hose offline at the fire department that otherwise would have been fine regardless of the age. If something were to happen on an incident and we were found to have been using hose that old that didn't comply, we'd be in big, big trouble.
Oh, attorney would love that.
So we really have our hands tied on this type of thing. It's frustrating, but it's true.
But I will tell you how that happened.
What's that?
The former chief had ordered so much 5-inch. We have 5-inch out to wazoo and never inventoried and never ordered 3-inch. So that should have been done years ago.
I was wondering why there was such a glut of 3-inch.
Because he didn't want us to get any 3-inch. He wanted 5-inch on everything. Well, the only problem with that is 5-inch is fine, but we don't need that much here because we got hydrants.
Yes.
The only place, and you don't use 5-inch for a water supply in the county, like if we go with fire company, if you drop a 5-inch line, you're gonna empty.
You're gonna empty your
You're
tank.
gonna empty your tanker that's
Uh-huh.
coming to fill you just to fill that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's actually 1 gallon of water per foot of 5-inch hose. And the 5-inch comes in 100-foot section. So think about it, you drop 1,600 feet, then you've used 1,600 gallons of water. So if you got a tanker coming that's got 2,000, you've almost dumped that tanker just to fill the hose.
Just
That's
before
not
any of the
even-
water's hit the fire.
Exactly. That's not filling any hand lines, that's not supplying another truck, that's nothing. That's only to drop the line. And then every 1,000 foot, you have to have another relay pumper. So you can only drop 1,000 anyway without putting another pump in to go any further. So 5-inch hose for out there was not necessary, and for in here actually wasn't either. Not that much.
Yeah.
And we have like 27 sections of 5-inch hose. And this, I mean, we have 15 or 17 left.
So let me ask you this. Am I hearing you say that we got a lot of 5-inch hose that we're probably not gonna use?
Well, it still gets tested.
Well, yeah,
and
yeah. But we're not gonna use it.
And we rotate it onto,
I'm thinking, can we eBay it?
well, you don't want to get rid of all of it because.
Not all of it.
If we had,
But if we've got oodles
We've
of
got a glut
5-inch
of it.
hose.
we've probably got, what's on the rack? probably 15 sections. That's not
That you
including
don't
what's
need,
on the truck.
That you don't need. The few
Well,
sections you
I don't know,
need.
I won't say you don't need it, I'm saying we don't ever have to buy any more of it.
At
this point,
Yeah.
But
I don't know
if it's
that
got,
we wouldn't
if it's got a
utilize
date
it.
on it, and on down the road, they say, well, this date isn't any good,
Yeah,
so we'll throw it out anyway.
Is the
So,
15-inch hose
you know,
fairly new?
5-inch?
The
Five,
five-
I'm
no,
gonna say
we-
15?
No, we've had that.
5, yeah,
We've had
thank you.
that. We've got some new, but most of that's the old stuff.
Okay.
What we're trying to get at is, how can we mitigate this $10,000 cost?
Yeah.
We're gonna have, can we liquidate
Well-
some of the overs, the glut of 5-inch? we've got
Actually, we're working on that
to
because,
Cut this.
Because
down
you,
to
you
the
tell
price.
me if my ears heard you incorrectly. What my ears heard you say was we probably bought more 5-inch hose than we really needed.
well, over the years.
Over the years.
Yes.
When we should have been buying 3-inch.
Yeah, we didn't keep
So
up
now,
with the
that's right. So now we gotta buy a bunch of 3-inch. What I'm asking is, can we cut our losses on the 5-inch, the over amount that we bought a 5-inch, by selling it off to those who need it?
I don't know. I don't know if you could.
You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But here's the other thing about that. All the departments in the county, except for Newark, use 4-inch.
Really?
Yeah, they all use 4-inch.
That-
Fire company, Hebron, all of them use, Hebron's got some 5, but almost all of them have 4.
Is that what their hydrants?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, they're designed that way.
So like we have, our hydrants have a 5-inch and 2 3-inch, right? The
Mhm.
hookups? 1 5-inch and 2
Well,
3-inch.
2 2.5s.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's
2.5?
3-inch hose with a 2.5-inch couple
Okay,
on it for those bones on the hydrant, but yeah.
okay.
The big one has, we have an adapters for 5-inch that will go right into the hydrant. And,
Uh-huh.
and what you want that for is because of all the industry we got.
Yes.
We ever get a big fire in a plant?
Yeah.
We're not gonna have enough 5-inch.
That's right.
To supply what we need, because that tower will pump about 2,700 gallons a minute.
Okay.
So you're not gonna need one, there's 3 intakes on that. So you're gonna need 3 separate water supplies with 5-inch just to feed that one pump. And with 3-inch, you will be able to flow 2,700, but there won't be a whole lot of pressure in that 5-inch. When you fill it 5-inch in pressure, it gets, you can stand on it. You wouldn't be able to by running that pump at full capacity on the tower.
Okay.
So that's what Chief Huggins that was his big thing. We've got so much industry. He wanted the 5-inch to protect all the big manufacturing
Yes.
buildings. And in that respect, yes, I'm just saying, when he bought it, we weren't buying 3-inch at the same time. And the 3-inch was going
Okay. So
by
you're
the
not saying
wayside.
we have too much 5-inch.
No,
You're
we're just saying,
that
I'm
we
just
were
saying
not
it's,
buying 3-inch.
we had more 5-inch than we had 3 because the 3-inch was not being supplied as it went out. And this was a new change in NFPA.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you could test it
Yeah.
and put it back on.
Yeah.
This was September of 2013. So this just came out about 3 years ago.
Okay, isn't all of the FTCs, they're all 5-inch, aren't they? And
Well, if-
all and everybody, they're all 5-inch.
The ones that are on buildings now,
Yeah.
we're having them put 5-inch storts on them. Most of them, you would put 2 3-inch lines to,
Most
which
of-
would feed your sprinkler
Most
system.
of them you'll see if you run through the industrial park and at my place, they all have 5-inch.
They have 5-inch storts now, yes. Yep, and we've even got some 5-inch to 4-inch adapters. So we can go in the county and supply them, or they can supply us. I'm just saying, you don't use 5-inch for like where you have tankers.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna fight a rural house fire.
Uh-huh.
You don't use 5-inch. You would use 3. And that's where Warren is saying, we've got to supply, we got to have a supply of the 3, because out there, which is where Engine 52 goes, our area that we are responsible for
Franklin
in Franklin
Township,
Township,
out there, yeah.
we're gonna be dropping 3-inch lines, and it may be 500 feet, it may be 1,000 feet
Yeah.
before we put another truck there, and we may be dropping 2 of those. So we're thinking 750 to 1,000 foot of 3-inch on every truck,
Okay.
just in case. So,
Okay.
that clears mud?
No, I get it. Like I said, I heard you wrong. I thought what you were saying was we were buying a lot of 5-inch to where we had an overabundance. of
No.
it.
No, the 2 should have been kept up with each other.
Uh-huh.
And when we replaced 5, we should have bought 3.
Uh-huh.
So that hose was newer, because all the stuff that is beyond 87 is still like 92, 96. I mean, it all passed,
Yeah.
but this is still all older stuff that eventually is going to fall
Yeah, under
right
this.
under this category
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
It's either going to fail, or you're not
It's
going to be
gonna
able
be
to use it
too
because
old.
of the date. Yeah. So,
Okay.
and that is approximately, they priced it, I think, did Chief tell you it's like $200 and some a 50-foot section?
10 grand is what he figured to replace everything that we had to dispose of.
To do 24 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the cost of what we get for our Franklin Township contract a year.
Mhm.
What we collect.
Match funding, yeah.
Yeah.
The new command vehicle, if anybody has not seen it, it is back from having the graphics put on it. It's behind Station 51. It's gonna go to par and have the rest of the lights and all that stuff. What was nice about that truck?
Radio.
It was pre-wired.
The radio too, right?
The radio.
Installed.
Yep, radio and the light bars, and that truck came from GM, all pre-wired. Everything's there,
Good.
they just have to install that stuff, all the wiring's run, which is good. The other, manufacturers didn't offer that.
Eddie's gonna be getting the old command vehicle, and the black truck is finally going to be laid to rest.
So all the stuff that was in the bed.
Is the auditor getting the black truck? All right, that's fine.
We took it out.
What-
Buy it at
It's in the
auction.
station.
Losing money on
Useful,
the
is
block.
it?
It could be sold,
Is it going to
Yeah.
auction?
yeah.
So we're not gonna put in a new truck?
No,
I
no, this
suppose.
is an SUV.
Good.
Yeah.
Better wire
Truck
the
he
door
bought
shut.
today.
on the
Passenger
It's not a
side.
pickup truck,
Huh?
yeah, it's a Tahoe. It's not
Right?
a,
Oh.
I said they
Yeah.
better wire the door
because they're
shut on the
much,
passenger
much more
side.
versatile in the back.
Okay.
You can set up a command structure back there and have, you know,
Secure doors,
a nice
doors are
area to
overrated.
do that.
Yeah. I mean, that takes some of the fun
Pickup
out
truck
of
bed
it.
with a cab.
I don't sit on that side.
You don't have all the extra. Yeah.
Okay.
He was looking between that, between the Explorer, and he didn't even look at a Durango because it's not as big. It's in a complete
But all
different
the
class.
equipment is still useful and functional. It was in the truck, pickup truck, yeah.
Yeah, other than some of the radios have to be updated because that's the old radios,
Yeah, not the marks.
not the March radios. So it'll get new radios put in it.
Okay, I understand the radios, I'm just.
But that assembly, he's not
That whole-
putting back in, that was for a pickup truck
Right.
bed, is what that was for. But it's in the station. Yeah, it could be
It's-
someone,
It's still functional for something.
someone could buy it, yeah.
The
Oh,
command
we're
that
gonna
Eddie's
liquidate.
getting.
Yeah, it won't fit in anything.
Vehicle.
No, that's actually was designed, it fit that 6.5-foot bed on that Ford truck. It's
So
slid
that's,
in that
so that's an
bed
eBay or,
and bolt it.
that's an eBay potential, right?
It could be.
Any idea what it's worth, used?
No, it's all angle iron. I mean, it's not anything that's hurt, so you mount the angle iron in the bed and then you release a handle and the whole slide out tray. I mean, old Chief had all his radios and everything in there. You can carry pretty much whatever you wanted, so. But most of the chiefs are going to SUVs, so if there's still somebody that has a pickup truck, it could be utilized for that as a command vehicle. But almost all of them are SUVs now, almost everything, so. Then I guess we're still exploring the purchase of medics, correct?
Yeah, you wanna dig into that a little bit more when we get to the finance end, or do you wanna talk about it now? Go ahead.
I met with Chief McCord the other day. I've contacted Park at a couple different places, still looking at some financing of what we might want to do. We're still looking at Fire Levy 3 that would handle most of it, but you know, the question is the price of the medics are going up day to day. Would you agree with that, Mayor?
Uh-huh.
And as we hear, is it medic, I'll mess this up.
51.
51 that's down, 52 that's running but doesn't run very often, or, I don't know. The question is, I'm looking at financing for 1 and for 2, we'll just put it that way. And in the meantime, he's got some, numbers of what 1 will be, and we'll let him bring that when it's time, so.
And we are getting rid of the international chassis,
Yes.
because that's been our biggest problem, especially with 51. 52's been better, but it was prior to all the experimentation with the diesel system. 52 doesn't have any of that on it. So it's still electronic, it just doesn't have the diesel particulate filter or any of that on there. So we've had a lot less.
Our
issues.
newest medic is our biggest pain in the rump.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our oldest medic is like just a tank, it just keeps right on.
That's the 95 and it's being used right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But that was a true diesel engine without anything added to it.
Yep.
So. Under training, EMS, ARIVAC comes in every month, the second Wednesday of the month, and does EMS training for us, which obviously we have to have hours to recert medic cards. So that's what that's for. And then we're doing fire trainings and the other ones in walkthroughs of businesses around here to get familiar with them, in case we ever have to go there. And then Lieutenant Swick has scheduled a fire ops or aerial ops class by the Fire Academy, which will be here next week.
Is that just for our department, or are other area departments encouraged to attend that as well?
We have invited, we're gonna have it, but I think Lieutenant Swick invited Fire Company and Hebron and Newark if they wanna
Good.
participate, that's sign up for it, but
Uh-huh.
they're gonna provide it. And if you get more departments, then you get a break on
Yeah,
the cost of it.
makes
But-
sense. Makes
So-
sense.
I think that's it, other than the other day, the multi-function switch went out of truck 51. That was a $300 switch, which Chief wasn't too happy about, but you gotta have windshield wipers, and I was the one driving it, and I put it on slow, and it went like this, and then
Are
it just
you
took
talking about
off.
the pickup truck?
Yeah.
Okay.
They just took off on their own, and I tapped the switch, and then they stopped in the middle of the windshield, and then they wouldn't restart. So I tapped it again, and off they went, and so yeah, that was a switch problem. He didn't realize, I ordered the switch when he picked his truck up, and he didn't know how much the switch was. He goes, that truck ain't worth $300. I said, you gotta have wipers. What are you gonna do? Stick your head out the window?
You can't work on
That's
it.
true.
So, don't have a choice. Yeah.
There, yeah.
Squeegee. And long arms.
Yeah.
That's funny, I gotta tell this story. Do anybody remember that guy that drove the old red pickup truck and had tied a rope from his windshield wipers through around where his steering wheel is? This poor girl, he took his daughter to school, and when it was raining, he'd reach up and grab this big old burly dude. Did you
Manual wipers?
Yeah. Oh,
Probably were.
That girl probably wanted to be dropped off 3 blocks from the
God.
school.
Oh, yeah.
He was there every day dropping her off, and it was not a,
She crawled out of the door. She didn't just get
Oh,
out.
I'm gonna
that's
feel so
funny.
bad for that girl.
That's funny.
All right, does anybody else have any other questions for Captain Kozlowski? I have, Mr. Kidd, please.
My question's about mutual aid. When we do mutual aid, like on a fire run, do we bill anybody for that, or?
Fire runs don't get billed.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Only EMS
But
transports.
EMS does. I was looking.
Yeah, if we transport on an EMS run, it still gets billed even if we go
Right.
into the city of Newark, or
I was-
Hebron or Fire Company.
I was looking, we had 281 year-to-date, at 216,000 and something. And then it was looking back at Hebron and Licking Township. They made 7 here, and we made 0 there, and.
You're talking about EMS
Hebron-
calls?
Hebron, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, is that a normal thing, or is that just a monthly blip here on, where they're,
Fire Company has part-time. They don't have, other than the chief, they don't have any full-time. They have part-time shifts. And there are times where they don't have anybody around. So if anybody is gonna get called most of the time, it would be Medic 52 up on Blackfoot Trail. They would get called more. But the only way we're gonna collect is if we actually transport.
I think
That's
what
what
he's
I was
asking is,
yeah.
Hebron, in the month of March, Hebron made 7 EMS runs into Heath. Licking Township Fire Company made 4 EMS runs into Heath.
Mhm.
We did not make any EMS runs to Hebron or to Licking Township. Is it normal that Hebron and Licking Township would make so many more EMS runs into Heath as opposed to runs that Heath is making to them?
No, I think that was probably just one of those things where our medics were tied up. I mean, I can think of one just recently that I went on, but I had both medics out, and we had a chest pain over off of Hopewell Drive, and fire company came in and assisted us on that one.
So that
And
is
anything
not
out here.
normal.
No, Hebron very seldom comes in here and make runs unless it's an auto accident. But March was one of those months where every shift we had 4, 5, 6 fire runs. And a fire run could also be an auto accident. That's the way I look at that, more than EMS. So we had them coming in, fire company and Hebron coming in, both. Plus they'd be coming in on anything besides EMS, they'd be coming in on a fire run too, if we needed a medic for that.
Reason I ask, it's not far off from probably $10,000 a run, maybe eight or nine. But, you know, the 7-0 and 4-0, you know, I mean, that could
Yeah, I
add
get
up.
what you're saying.
That could add up over a year's time if that was
Yeah. In essence, in a way, revenue lost.
Right.
Because we don't have the medic, the Heath medic making the Heath run. Yeah.
But that's not saying they were transports and we only get money for transports, right?
That's correct.
So-
This is only run calls,
Right.
not transports on the mutual aid information. But stands to reason,
Some.
if you're not making any out,
Yeah.
whatever some of them are gonna be transports.
Mhm. But that'd only be if both of our medics were tied up, and we do have a third medic. If I'm there and someone else is there that has a card, in theory, we've got a third medic then.
Yeah.
So we could make another run, so.
Did you say the fire runs to Hebron were aerial 10, almost all of them?
I would, without looking at them, I would bet good money on it that it was gonna be the tower.
Have they ever had a ladder truck in Hebron?
No. Nope, I never have.
Are they motivated to ever have one? Probably not.
I don't know, because you're talking, I mean, in 2003, we paid $750,000 for that truck.
That's his
13
point.
years ago, so.
That's the reason why
Yeah.
this is probably not gonna
Do you think
happen.
Hebron has the revenue? I don't think so.
Hebron's ladder truck is sitting right up the street here. And there's no motivation for them to ever have a levy to come up
Yeah.
with that kind of money. As
Yep.
Ronnie said, we don't bill for fire runs, but, you know, they've got one at their avail right here.
What's frustrating
It
is.
just gets frustrating.
If you were looking at, I don't know, whatever township that just has farms and houses and residential additions, that's one thing. But the village of Hebron and Union Township has a significant industrial park and has significant industrial use of in part of their area.
Mhm.
It seems, I don't know, almost, not quite maybe, but almost irresponsible to be attracting those types of businesses
Yeah.
without being able to provide them with the type of fire protection that those types of properties need,
Mhm.
which you have to have a tower. If you've got a 50,000 square foot industrial building,
Oh,
you
you're gonna
have
need
to
several.
have a tower.
Yeah.
So I think what Jeff's frustration is Heath has significant, properties that are of that same nature. And yet, the city of Heath has made the investment in a tower to provide those properties with the type of fire protection that they would need.
Mhm.
Hebron has not.
Don't have to.
And that would.
It's one thing
that
if
would
you
be
got a
quite bit
squad
of
and I got a
down there.
squad and your squad's busy, so you ask for my squad. It's another thing when you have an industrial building, we have an industrial building, we have a tower, and you don't have a tower, and you're asking us for our tower.
Yeah.
We can't ask for mutual aid of a tower there. It's not even.
No, not from them.
It's not
Correct.
applicable.
Correct.
See what I mean?
That's a
Mhm.
concern, and.
But that would be
Newark
something
has
where-
similar type buildings. Newark has made the investments in
Well, they have two.
towers.
Yeah, they have two
They've
left.
made the investments in towers.
Yeah.
If you could ever substantiate a fire run fee or call, it would be something of that kind of a scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
Offset the cost of operating that rolling stock, that's a bunch of money, and it breaks down too.
Right.
We've had a lot of maintenance of that over the years. So, just an editorial comment.
Any other questions?
No question, just mayor's benefit, at the 6th of April, we had the East Seniors banquet or dinner, up at the Shea House, and Captain, or Chief McCord spoke, and he really impressed those people. They asked me questions after he left, and they wanted to know when we get the new police chief, if they could come. So, you know, I just let you know that they enjoyed McCord.
Good.
He did, he was good. He really made an impression.
Good.
They ask him questions that surprised me, you know, that they'd like to meet the new police chief, too, you know, they asked me about.
I was out of town. I was down in Dallas on the 6th.
Just let you guys know, he sounded good. He answered all their questions, and it was impressive, being
Good.
part of the city, you know, to
Good.
hear one of our
Yeah.
employees come across that way.
Excellent.
And I told him that I fully expect and believe that our new police chief is just as informed as the new fire chief was. And they said, well, I'd like to hear him too. So,
There you go, Chief Aaron.
The schedule's filling up quick here.
the questions they
Can't be on
asked
a
were
Monday,
things
it doesn't
that
seem to be
just
very
didn't
available.
concern them, you know, like medical calls. They was wanting to know how much it cost the city, how we funded it, you know, and McCord answered it right down to the T, you know.
Good.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Captain Kozlowski? All right, with that, we'll move on.
Good report.
6:26.
Thanks, Kev.
We will begin here with Chief Herron for your first committee meeting.
If I can just make one comment prior to, and this applies, I think, maybe to both chiefs. Make sure you know what day the committee meeting is, so that it's on the sheet. Lynn just gave me an earful. How the police one says April 11th, and the fire one says April 20th, and today's April 18th. So just FYI.
Nobody knew? Wow.
Go ahead, Chief.
Mine said April 11th, because I got the data on April 11th and completed it, and Chief Mason was in and said, well, get that stuff done, so I didn't see the change of the date.
That's fine.
Yes. But Lynn made it clear she wants the date.
Yes, yes, she did.
Use your reference to take care of that. March calls for service, we had 1,314 calls in March 2016, which is up from 15 and 14, but pretty consistent with 2013's numbers. Took 143 offense reports in 2016, which is relatively average comparison to the other 3 years. 59 arrests were made, which is a little bit high. In 15, there was 38 arrests in the same period of time. 14, there was 58 arrests in the same period of time. And 13, there was 48 arrests in the same period of time. We had 36 accident reports in the month of March. 16, it was 33, 15, 25, and 14, and 28. So unfortunately, there appears to be a rise in reports through March over the evaluated period of time. And weather wouldn't be consistent with that rise.
Yeah,
March wasn't that rough.
yeah.
There was 107 citations issued in the month of March. In 2015, there were 124. 2014, there was 97, and 2015, there was 90. Month. I didn't say the month of March. A little bit of a rise, drop off in 15. Our overtime, which was at the time that I got the report, was for March 4th through 16th period, we spent $9,566 and 25 cents of overtime at time period. We had 32 alarms, 7 of those were residential alarms and 25 of those commercial. There was 15 fire alarms with an unknown disposition.
Chief, if nobody kind of had explained this to you before, as it relates to those fire alarms, a few months back or so, council, as part of this report, council was always informed of false alarms that were coming in to our dispatch center, and if there's certain number of false alarms, you know, you get a grace period, but if you got a problem, you need to fix it. And if you don't fix it, we bill.
Third becomes billable and.
Yeah. Well, you know, some of these were fire. So our fire department was being sent out instead of our police department, but we weren't necessarily following that same, yes. So a month or two ago, I think we made a shift so that the fire department will let, I don't know if it's Lisa, no, I'm not sure, is it Lisa who handles that? Yeah, the fire department's supposed to let Lisa know, you know, who these false alarms on the fire side involve, so that that same method can be followed.
I signed about 6 notices on the alarm for the alarm drop, burglar alarm drops, and false alarm trips. Last week.
Okay.
They're steadily moving through as well.
Okay. The calls for service increase of about 150 from last year. It'll be interesting to see over the next month or two if that stays at that higher level, and you know, we might need to try to wrap our brains around why that is. It seems like a significant jump from one year to the next.
I can look through the RMS system and see the nature of calls in comparison to that number. Some of them may be a bunch of check subject or check or minor calls where not every call has the same need for police service, or even may not even be a police matter, just a call to respond to that one. So
Okay.
just the raw data, it's hard to tell
Yeah.
the nature of calls, which really reflective of the amount of work required of the officer.
When and correct me if I'm wrong, when I look at data like calls for service, I equate that in my mind as time in which our patrol officers are tied up doing something, and which, you know, as they're dealing with that, they're no longer on the road, you know, they're no, yeah, so, and, you know, our manpower being limited as it is, if those type of things can have a big impact. You know, just as we did with Chief McCord, Brian, I think you know, with Chief Herron now here, it might be a good opportunity for the committee to reassess what type of information you'd like to have in the police part of the committee report, and you know, you can get with Chief Herron and discuss that. If there's something else that the committee is looking for, something that you're not interested in that normally gets reported, now would be a good opportunity to you know, kind of take stock in that kind of stuff.
I'll check with the committee members and follow up.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else for us? That is 5 points.
So how was week 1?
There was a lot of.
You're back for the beginning of week 2, so that's really a good sign.
I didn't have a notice on my desk not to return. Thank you very much. No, very exciting. Very pleased to be here, and got a good group of people over there, so they're helping me catch up. Got a lot of catch up to do, so we're working hard at it.
Good.
Does anybody have questions for Chief? Okay, we'll adjourn at 6:34 p.m.
Thanks, Chief.
Scores!
Did you make that one?
You did.
Nice.
I think he's like 3 for 3 now, the last 3 times.
Ah.
Better watch out, Brad Patter's looking for
Been
help.
home
Yeah.
Just not wearing the glasses.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't a swish, but it,
One down,
I mean,
pass it around.
In his hand, right?
Did you send something that way?
No.
That way.
There's another one going that way.
We got extra copies?
There's a bunch of them down here if anyone needs it.
Yeah, let's shoot them back here for the guests, visitors.
Ronnie.
Oh, let me see. I think.
Okay, 6:35, we'll call Finance Committee to order.
Okay, I have one legislative request that came out of zoning. It's to amend sections 905.03 and 905.05, part 9, streets, utilities, and public services. Code to the City of Heath codified ordinances. I believe, do you know what it is?
Yeah, this relates to some drainage issues. Remember Bob has talked before about how we have residences that have their downspouts tied in underground. And then those are piped toward the street, but they don't always drain well once they're in the street. I mean, I can think of the Greenbrier addition as one particular area where we have this problem. And so what happens is, especially in the wintertime, you've got this moisture that's just sitting on the streets, and it's freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing, and it's damaging the streets and the curbs, you know, in that area. Did this come out of Eddie's committee or out
Yes.
of Bob's committee? Out of Eddie's?
Eddie's.
Okay.
Planning Commission, Eddie.
Okay. I wasn't.
Yeah, he's going through and updating a lot of these, but that one comes to his attention first.
Yes. Oh, Bob.
Yeah,
was-
Bob's been on it for
Yeah.
quite a while.
Yeah.
Trying to get some.
Yes.
I'll throw my 2 cents. I had Eddie send it to me so I could read it and stuff. I think we don't wanna outlaw doing what they're doing. I think what we're gonna do is have it on a case-by-case basis, whether we want them to do it or not do it. And in cases where it does create a problem, then change the way it's
Have to
done.
correct it.
But I don't think, the way this is read, I don't think we want to completely not do it, because there's some cases, this would be a perfect way of doing it, cutting the curb and putting it through to storm drain and stuff like that. So,
There's some discretionary language in there.
you know, yeah, but the one thing where it's deleting the actual cutting for the storm,
Cutting to the storm sewer.
yeah, I got these things out
Well,
of order
there's
now.
so there's two different.
There's 2 different ordinances
Yeah.
here, or chapters.
So the first one is 905.03. So let me go over what those changes are. Under section A, no person shall cut any existing curb other than as provided herein. All curb cuts shall be made under the direction of, and then here's the edit, street superintendent / chief, comma, chief superintendent / chief division of building and zoning, or their authorized representative. So the change being made there would be that all curb cuts, Bob and or Eddie
Have to
approve them.
Yeah.
Or obviously in the future, whoever those people would be that hold
Yeah.
those spots. That's A. Under B, any person desiring to cut a depression or opening in any curb for facilitating ingress and egress from streets, and then it has crossed out downspout outlets. So it would eliminate that.
That's the one I think you should leave in.
Or for any other purpose shall file an application with the zoning department. The zoning department was also a change.
That's where I think you should leave it in there, saying if you want to put the downspouts, you should file an application and with the zoning department, that way we know they're doing it. And stuff. If you scratch that out, then it says for any other purpose, well, downspout outlets would be any other purpose. See what I'm saying? But you're crossing out the idea that, because essentially you're saying, you know, you don't want downspout outlets. It's a
Yes.
matter of semantics, but you know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
No,
It's
I
like-
hear you.
So I'm saying, if someone wants to do that, they'd read it and say, oh, downspout, I need to file an application. If you cross that out, they may think, oh, I don't need to worry about it
Yeah.
to get an application. I
Yeah.
just go ahead and cut the curb and put it in there,
Yeah.
you know?
That's-
So I said, leave the word downspout outlets in there.
checking with us.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I get your point, Tim.
You know.
I think, I guess it's all in how you look at it. If you read it and it says for any other purpose, that would be any purpose,
Right.
including what
So-
downstops would be.
Yeah,
So,
so
but
even in the
eliminating that
depression, the
specific-
cut, anything, I mean, you might as well say, I mean, you know, it's kinda, by putting any other purpose, it's like, you touch anything in the curb, you should get an application.
Yeah, and yeah, I wasn't at this part of Eddie's committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, so you know, I don't know how the discussion
He
went.
just said
Did you
that he
guys
was gonna
review
come-
this?
He said that he was
Yeah,
gonna
but-
come back with something.
Yeah, this is the first we've
is the first-
seen.
yeah.
Okay.
Now that it's gonna be, I mean, everyone should get a copy of this for the next meeting, you know.
Okay.
It's not even on an ordinance form yet or anything.
No.
Oh, we
And
told-
then
we told Eddie to
no,
make
this
sure
is
he
this
can-
is the legislative request.
Yeah.
This is to
Right.
request the ordinance be on.
Well, we told Eddie to make sure he gives himself the
Yeah.
leeway to make decisions and not cut
Yeah.
himself off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Give them discretion on a case by case,
That's it,
to have the authority to make.
And then in 905.05, which the heading for that is storm sewers and driveway pipes, there would be one, there's an existing, in your documentation, there's an existing and there's a proposed. The change in the proposed is the addition of a paragraph. That paragraph says, any drainage system designed to capture groundwater and/or surface water, whether it be a foundation drainage system or a rooftop drainage system whose discharge pipe is to be either above or below grade, shall, 1, discharge to a grassy area located no further than 10 feet from the foundation of the structure from which the water is being drained if no public drainage system is available. And then in parentheses it says, in no case shall this be within 20 feet of a public sidewalk or roadway. So, it's saying that if you're gonna have a discharge system, you can't take it straight to the street. If you would have to have it no further than 10 feet from your foundation. And, again, in no case shall this be within 20 feet of a public sidewalk or roadway. 2, discharge to a defined public drainage ditch if one is available. So if you have an open drainage system, discharge it there. Or 3, be connected to a storm sewer system if one is available. So, what's, okay, let me, in no case shall any drainage system discharge upon a public sidewalk or a public roadway. So this would mean that if you have a storm sewer in front of your property, you have to tie that straight into the storm sewer, not into the gutter,
Yeah.
which then goes down the street into a catch basin.
Mayor, what if that's not an option? Now, when you, like you just said, you can't discharge to a gutter that goes down to a street to a catch basin. Now, in my neighborhood, if you live at the top of the street, you know, I mean, it's a ways down the street on the first house as you come up the street. So what I'm thinking is, again, this guy that lives over here on Radian, the very bottom, turn right on Radian, it's the first house on the right-hand side. I've been in his basement, it's a disaster. If he dumps water 10 foot away from his house, he's just dumping it right back on
Going
himself.
back in.
Now, I don't know what his situation is, if he has a storm sewer out front, or if it happens to be all the way down the street, so, by the way that
You
works,
have
he
open
would have-
drainage in your neighborhood by Licking View Drive, right?
We do, yeah, but I'm trying to, you know, I was using that as a comparison, is that I'm the storm sewer, the actual catch basin is in front of my house and my neighbor's across the street. Well, the other 10 houses on the street, all the way up top, there's no catch basins, the water has to flow down the street to get to my catch basin. So if one of those people didn't have a choice but to tie it to the closest storm drain, they'd have to go all the way down the street to get to it. So I didn't know in some cases in the city if there was just no option for some poor person other than to put it out on the street. By writing it that way, they've eliminated that option.
You are correct. This is a conversation you guys need to have with Bob
Yeah.
and with Eddie.
In some
Bob's
cases,
beef
it-
is he doesn't want people dumping the water off their property into the street. That's his beef.
In some places,
If
it
you
just
if
lays
you
on
don't
the
have
road.
anything, then no closer than 20 feet to the roadway, so that the water will be on your property and sink into your property, not be out on the road. If you have an open drainage system or a storm sewer system, tie it straight into one of those two. That's Bob's view. Don't put it out on the street. That's something you guys need to talk to him about. Because I understand where you're coming from. We don't necessarily run the pipe for the storm drain all the way down there. The curbs are supposed to collect, and the gutters are supposed to collect the water, channel it down to the catch basins where it drops in.
And if I had to guess, I would have to say probably 95 to 98% of the time, there's always an option to tie in somewhere, do something with that water. But I would venture to say there's that, 1 to 5% out there of people that just don't know what to do with it. They just don't have a choice. And it'd be nice if the ordinance gave, Bob and Eddie the option to say, okay, you really don't have a choice. We're going to go ahead and let you put the curb cut in and dump it in the street.
I think,
Bob's frustration in part comes from this. We have some developments where over time you get things that settle. What was originally installed as a good functioning gutter system doesn't work as well anymore. Maybe there's a hump, maybe there's a depression. And so there's your wet spot. Now, if it's rain, it's rain. Where Bob's frustration comes from is when he sees water coming out of these pipes into those gutters that aren't functioning. And he knows how expensive it is to try to fix that problem. And so he's trying to eliminate that by eliminating the discharge off a property into the street. That's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just sharing with you. That's his perspective. That's where he's coming from.
and I think too, Mayor, the other thing that really concerns is that wintertime, the cold weather, that becomes a skating rink.
Oh, yeah.
And it's dangerous. I mean, it's these streets, and I know he's talking about in River Oaks. There's places in River Oaks where it kind of sits there. You come around
Yeah.
one of those curves up there when it's icy. I mean, it's gonna
And
give you a little zippo.
And if that area is anything like my neighborhood, there's natural springs
Oh,
all
yeah.
over the place
Yeah.
that that
Run
that,
across, yeah.
that help. It's part of the problem where it's wet a lot. So, like I said, I think it's a conversation. You guys should review this
Yeah.
and talk to Bob and talk to Eddie. I'm just trying to share with you from the conversations I've had with Bob. That's his mindset, is to try to keep the streets as dry as possible.
See, we had that trouble up in Forest Hills when we first annexed that on there, because some of the, they don't have a underground drainage, and they had ditches. Well, half of the people filled in the ditches,
Yep.
and then the poor guys up the hill above
Yeah.
that, he didn't drain it, so we had a big blowout up there, and they had to come and get me. Chet was out of town, and I just told Smitty, the street department guy, I said, you gotta cut ditches back in here, because it was going down into people's houses on the other side,
Oh,
so.
yeah.
It covers the same thing, and that's a good point,
That's right.
because there's a lot of things up there in, what's that one, that street you just talked about? My brother-in-law lives up there, and boy, if he can't drain out that.
Greenbrier?
Yeah, if he can't drain out there, because there's about 3 springs in his backyard. And we dug ditches down through here and put the gutter in, and by the time we got to where it would go over a bank, we were 8 feet from the sidewalk, And I told him, I said, just turn it loose in the grass there.
Yeah.
But it still drains down in the street.
I mean, it hasn't rained. I mean, we had that one day last week where it rained like all day.
Yeah.
And then it didn't rain for like, I don't know if it's rained since, but even a few days after we got that big heavy all day rain, there was water flowing through, off the hills and I mean, just the springs in the Willow Ridge Edition, they just started sprouting up again. So, like I said, That's Bob's mindset. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to protect the condition of the streets. So. I think, are you okay with having the ordinance drawn up? Or do you want us to hold on to the legislative request?
I think we should
I think we ought to
just
hold
hold
it. I
off,
think we ought to hold it.
then we'll get Eddie and Bob and
Okay.
discuss it a little bit
Bob's
more.
back in here in 2 weeks.
Ordinance, I'd like to see the wording.
Well, you should have it, or Tim,
No.
does
Well,
it?
I had Eddie send it to me,
No,
because I
we
didn't
don't
talk,
have
so I
it.
wanted to see what they were
Oh.
talking about. And he had, I thought the thing had already gone through, but it hadn't since just tonight.
No.
But I
Oh.
had Eddie send it to me last week,
Okay.
thinking that it had already
Yeah.
come out of his committee, and somehow it didn't.
Okay.
You know.
We didn't.
Okay.
Maybe because we
I
didn't have,
didn't get one.
I know
Did
what
you
the
get
difference
one?
was.
We
We don't
don't
have
have it.
finance after Eddie's, and we used to have finance after Eddie's.
Yes.
That was the difference.
Yes.
I was thinking since we had.
Yeah, Eddie's
his
was last
committee,
week.
It would have gone, and
Yeah.
because we didn't have finance, that's why, never mind.
Okay.
You always
I
let
got
a
used to the
copy
new
of it.
system.
He should forward the email to you to all council
Yeah,
members.
he should have,
We
yeah.
went to planning commission, we had a conversation, planning commission is how I got a copy of
The,
it. So,
Okay.
the other thing I have on the, I mean, something to think about was, I mean, for new development and stuff, I mean, it kind of makes sense, or, you know, you can handle it and stuff. But the question I have is if this becomes an ordinance the way it's written, then does everyone right now that doesn't conform to this, are they gonna have to change? Because you're talking about hundreds of
Yeah.
houses that would not conform to this right
Are they
now
gonna
at
be
all.
I mean, David's
Yeah.
sitting right here, but if I could bet a quarter, I'm gonna bet that he's probably gonna say that if they're in prior to the ordinance being in place, then they're grandfathered.
Okay, well then,
Am I right, David? Did I win a quarter?
Well, I need to research it to be sure.
All right.
Okay.
The quarter's still on the table.
Here's my next
That's a good
question.
lawyer
You
answer
should have
right
bet,
there.
I'd say, well, it all depends.
That's a good lawyer's answer. I'll research that a little bit.
Well, here's my next thing is, the whole idea behind Bob was to get some of these places that cause the ice in the winter,
Yeah.
is to be able to change those, okay?
Yeah.
Well, since in the public right of way, I think we'd have the ability to change it, but it might be at our cost rather than the homeowner's cost. But
Yeah.
at least we can fit, because I think the whole idea of this, there's really probably only about 5 or 6, maybe 10 at the most, places that this
Yeah.
really is a problem. The other 90-some% of the time, or even more than that percent, doesn't cause a problem.
Yeah.
Draining and going, because it usually is all right.
Yeah.
So what I think we need is something in this ordinance that says, if there is a problem, that directed by the mayor, the service director, the street department, whatever, can go in and
Safety
change
director.
Yeah.
that, or something like that, or they have the ability to change that, because it's causing a safety hazard, you know, making slick roads and stuff, and let them go in there and do it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just saying
Yeah.
this, because, you know, for future development, it'd be like someone comes in, a new development, says, well, we want you to do this and drain it, but, you know, this isn't gonna help anything if they're grandfathered in.
That's right.
You're still gonna have the
Yeah.
same problem you have, you know, next winter, you're gonna have the same problem.
Yep, no, I understand what you mean.
You know,
You're
so
right.
that's-
There's another thing that
You're right.
John and Bob was working on one time, and it kind of dropped with drainage, was people, you know, it's this time of year, they start mowing the grass, and they blow the grass
Yeah.
into the gutter.
Oh.
And it stops up the gutter.
Oh, yeah.
We never did do anything about that.
We do have an ordinance in place where you're not allowed to blow grass into the stream. Yeah.
When they do, nobody does anything about it, you know.
Mayor, there's a general rule that the courts don't like retroactive laws, but there are exceptions to that, you know, if you're maintaining what turns out to be a nuisance, things like that. But I'd like to see if there's any court case, appellate decisions or Supreme Court decisions that deal with that specifically before I could give you a definite answer.
Okay. My quarter's still on the table.
Somebody else here knows a lawyer.
Then we'll hold this.
Yeah.
And let's have in-depth conversations with Bob and Eddie on this.
Have Eddie send out an email to
Yeah,
everybody.
he's,
with
what he
what
sent to you,
me.
he needs to forward to all the
Forward it to
council
everybody, so
members.
everyone has the same thing.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I don't know if I've got the most current copy anyway, so.
Yeah.
Is there anything else for finance?
I'm glad that I was handed that copy from Lynn a few minutes ago.
Anything else for finance?
I don't know if finance is the right committee or not, but since maybe it involves some donations, this is something that's going on the last of July down at,
Oh, yeah, at Cherry Valley Elementary.
I don't know if you've heard about it, but.
Yeah.
that-
You got enough people?
Oh, okay. I'll take it back.
Okay.
Yeah. Big,
This is a really neat ceremony.
No, Jan has.
yeah, I was gonna say, we got a letter directly from.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, I got one.
I'm surprised you council members didn't get one.
Did.
Okay, I
I
was gonna
did.
say you should've.
That's something you can take home and look at and see if, I know Jan, they're having a meeting tonight at,
Yeah.
starting at 6 o'clock at the library.
Jan talked to me about Mayor
security.
Hall and I reading names.
Yes.
Okay.
That's on the second night.
Maybe that was.
That would be really neat.
Yeah.
You got some item like
That weekend.
Yeah, we got 2 more copies.
Okay.
Dennis.
Nothing else for finance? Adjourned at 6:56. We're adjourned. Go get him if you want.
You want a break? You won't get through it.